Hello everybody, welcome to Retire to Rome. I'm Russell.
And I'm LJ.
Today we're visiting one of the world's largest Jewish cemeteries. We're here in Lodz or Łódź, Poland, and kind of a sombering effect. You look around and see the age of some of these tombstones and the effect that it had probably on the Jewish culture, Jewish people here in Poland. And we're going to bring you along and show you some of the different aspects of this cemetery.
The cemetery itself was opened in 1892, and as Russell said, it's one of the largest, if not the largest, Jewish cemetery in Europe. And it covers 44 hectares, which is over 100 acres. And a lot of the cemetery appears to be overgrown, and kind of time has passed it by, and maybe families have moved or passed away. So it's kind of solemn, but it's a very quiet place in a very busy city to come and reflect on history, especially in my opinion of what's going on today in society as far as Israel and the Jewish culture. It's a very sombering place to be today. So come along with us and let's see what all we can find. From what we've read, there are ongoing restorations here in the cemetery. I'm going to spin you around and show you most of these I guess tombstones are overgrown. A lot of them you can just barely see the tops of them. Trees are going up through them, so I don't know if there had been a point in time when they tried to come in maybe once a year and clean around them, but you can tell that it's been quite some time just by the size of some of the weeds. This looks like an area that maybe they have tried to come in and at least clean the saplings up. But you can see just how close these tombstones are to one another. I mean, they're side by side with just maybe a couple of inches separating them. Obviously, they've been burying people here since the 1800s.
1892.
Probably, yeah, Russell said 1892, but probably even before it became an official cemetery maybe. But we did see one tombstone that was from this year, January 31st, 2025. So there are people still being buried here, in fact. So yeah, just the sheer size of it, 100 acres, if you can just imagine having to maintain that. We did have to pay 20, whatever it is, Russell will put that in there, what that equals, 20 per person to get in. I think it was a total of $11 US for both of us to get in today.
So during World War II, this cemetery became a burial ground for thousands who died in the Lodz Ghetto. A special section called the Ghetto Field holds mass graves today with simple markers, and it's just a reminder of the unspeakable loss that was suffered.
This is another backside view here of just how close these are to one another, and then you just kind of slowly spin around here and see how overgrown it is. And there are graves right here in front of me. You can't hardly even see them. You'll see a glimpse of a stone here and there. It's if I had family here, I'd be very sad to see it in this condition. I'm trying to look at the positives, if there are any, in the situation, is the fact that I guess it keeps people out. It is kind of like a time capsule, and I wouldn't want my loved ones to be gawked at, I guess, but you just wonder where the families of these people are, that they wouldn't at least get a weed eater in to come and clean around their particular grave. I'll show you this one here, and it looks like maybe somebody actually has done that. I'm going to try and zoom in. Just in this carpet field, this particular grave, you can actually see it does appear to be a fairly, I guess, newer grave site. So that may be why it's being maintained somewhat. But these others that have been here for decades, you know, you don't know where their families are at. if they even have family in the area still. So I really hope that they do significant restoration here, I guess. Just not so much restoration, just cleanup of the grass and the overgrownness of the area. Some of the stones are very, I guess, simple. It appears they're just, information about the person. Various languages, from what we understand, of course, Polish, Yiddish, other languages on these stones that obviously we can't decipher, but you can see this one has a tree with some leaves and something on the top of it, so that one's very pretty. It appears what they do is they basically just try and keep some various trails mowed down so you can walk, I guess, the perimeter of each section, and they are marked with which area it is that you're going into.
So one of the most striking sights is the Mausoleum of Izrael Poznański. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Poznański was a textile magnate and one of the richest men in Lodz history. It's massive, it's covered in mosaics, and it just shows just how important the Jewish community was to this city. The Mausoleum of Poznański the history dates back to, it was built between 1903 and 1905, and it was designed by the architect Adolf Zilligson. It's reminiscent of a Greek temple. Poznański's claim to fame is he was the Cotton King, known as the Cotton King of Lodz, Poland. He was a key figure in the industrial development of Lodz in the 19th century. The interior of the dome is adorned with a stunning mosaic. It's made from glass that was imported from Murano near Venice, Italy. This opulent design, while a powerful statement of Poznański's status, is somewhat at odds with traditional Jewish customs that favor simplicity. So if you've noticed on top of the mausoleum here, the placing of a lot of stones, it's a tradition of placing rocks or stones on Jewish graves as a meaningful custom. It's rooted in Jewish history and symbolism. It shows a sign of respect and remembrance. Placing a stone on a grave is a way to honor the deceased, showing that someone visited and remembers them. Unlike flowers, which wither, stones are enduring and symbolizing the lasting memory of a loved one.
All right, you can see, as we were talking about ornate tombs and I guess final resting places, this is one that we saw that's quite ornate, has the wreaths along the bottom, and it appears some type of cloth or something draped over the top, and it looks like this person died in 1905. We're getting back toward the front gate now, and I know that it said there are people buried here from all walks of life, from the wealthy to the poor, and I would assume that this is probably more of the upper echelon of the history of the city, just by the size of these burial plots and the ornate details. This one here, although it's grown over, it looks like white marble, and several burial places inside this walled off area. We've mentioned the ghetto here in the city, and I wanted to give you a little bit of background on it. It was the second largest ghetto established by the Nazi-occupied Europe, only second to Warsaw, and it was established in February of 1940. There were horrific conditions there. People were forced laborers, and it said that over 40,000 residents of the ghetto died there before the deportation other concentration camps began, or death camps began. So I would imagine that a number of those 40,000 souls are here in this particular cemetery since it was used by the ghetto.
At its peak, more than 160,000 Jews were imprisoned in the ghetto. Many were from Lodz, but thousands more were deported from Germany, Austria, Czechoslovakia, and Luxembourg. The Nazis renamed the city Litzmannstadt after a German general. That's why you'll see the ghetto referred to as the Litzmannstadt ghetto in documents and signs.
Starting in 1942, mass deportations began, first to, I think it's Chelmno, where victims were murdered in gas chambers, and later in 1944, the remaining survivors were sent to Auschwitz.
The Lodz Ghetto was the last major ghetto in Poland to be liquidated. When the Red Army arrived in January of 1945, only 877 Jews remained, hidden by members of the resistance.
The controversial Jewish leader of the ghetto, Rumkowski, believed that labor could save lives. He is remembered for his tragic speech, "Give me your children," urging parents to surrender their children during Nazi deportations. There are plaques all along the inside and outside of the walls of the cemetery. And this one here, it states that it appears that they're put up by various family members, and this one states, "May their stories bear witness and their memory be a blessing." And then this next one we just happen to have, a lot of them don't have it in English, but these particular two did. It states that it was in honor of our family members murdered by the Nazis during the Holocaust, and it's dedicated by their great-grandchildren, grandnieces and nephews, and it has their names there, from Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the United States of America. So we've been here about an hour, I guess, and as we said at the beginning, we expected it to be a very humbling experience, and it definitely has been. You definitely don't come to a cemetery expect a fun time,
No.
but to know the history of many of these people in this cemetery, it's quite humbling and hard to think that that was just less than 100 years ago. It wasn't like it was 1,000 years ago or anything. This happened just, a few short decades ago, and, to think that something like that happened in our world.
How people can be that cruel.
How people can be that cruel to one another, and
So traveling around, like I said, it's not all about just bringing you, the great things, and we like to bring the interesting stories too. And one of these are, it's sobering. It's just that you have to remember history. If not, like they say, you're doomed to repeat it. So it's humbling walking through here. It's a good, cool day. It's quiet. There's nobody really here. Just a few people walking around. But just to know the history that, like she said, a few decades ago that took place here. It's just tragedy. But you got to remember it too. So.
Yeah, it wasn't. Who was it that said if we forget our history, we're doomed to repeat ourselves? Something like that. But and that's true. And we have been to Dachau, a concentration camp. We went to it in Germany back five or 6 years ago, and we are planning to go to Auschwitz in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So we are, I hate to say we're looking forward to that, but we definitely are wanting to make sure that we go there and see that. My dad was in World War II, and he really didn't speak much about the war. It was a very difficult time for him, and a couple of stories he shared were very touching and very tragic.
I'm a history buff, and stuff like this is interesting to me, and like I said, I like to go visit what you read in the books and see stuff.
And I guess my closing remark is, this really isn't on, I guess, the tourist route for the city of Łódź, Lodz, however we're saying it today. If you're in the area, I would say definitely come and visit it. It's worth an hour or two.
I think the total cost for me and you both was like $11 US.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay, well, we're going to leave you here as we get ready to leave and get out of here and head back to our apartment. We thank you all for watching. We hope you have a blessed day and safe travels.